If you're a wife who's wondering how you can make your husband stop watching porn, I have an answer that you might not like. You cannot make your husband stop watching it. And if you try to make him against his will, it's only going to make things worse. Unfortunately, you've probably heard most people say, well, if you want your husband to stop watching porn, then you just need to have sex with him more. But here's the thing. As women, when we hear that that's what our husband is doing, whether they tell us or we find it out, whatever it might be, the last thing we want to do is be more intimate with our husbands because we're hurt, we're angry, we feel betrayed. And also, we are always going to think, are they comparing us to those things that they've seen? But here's the other thing. Having more sex with your husband isn't going to make him stop watching porn. Yes, might that be something that moves you towards it in the long run to where it can be a solution to help your husband stop watching it less? Yes, but there's something that has to happen within your husband where he decides that that's something he doesn't want to do anymore. It's really two separate issues. One issue is the issue that your husband is experiencing with the porn, and that second issue or opportunity that you have is how you can strengthen your marriage to help support your husband in overcoming what is going on inside him. There are many reasons why people watch porn. And it's not just men that do it, there's women that watch it as well. But in this video, we're specifically talking about husbands. And just because someone watches porn does not mean that they're a bad person. It does not make it right, but it does not make them a bad person either. It could stem from them seeing it early in their life, from their own temptations, their own lusts that they have, or they've been using it for so many years as a way to get turned on that they don't know how to get turned on without it. But I can tell you this, just because your husband watches porn doesn't mean that your husband doesn't love you. And it doesn't mean that you are not good enough. And I know that's hard to believe when you're in the middle of this. But does that mean that you should just accept it and learn to live with your husband watching it? No, it does not mean that at all. But if you try to force your husband to stop against his will, it's not going to take that desire that he has away. So what can you do? Should you just learn to deal with it? Should you join him in watching it? You should never do something that you believe is wrong just because your spouse is doing it, or because you believe that it's going to help the situation in the long run. You will just become more upset with yourself and even more upset with your husband, and it never works in making your relationship better in the long run. So here is what I recommend. The first thing is talk to your husband. Now, this differs on whether or not your husband knows that you know about the pornography. If your husband has been hiding it from you, then approaching him and talking to him about it is going to look different than if he knows that you are aware of it. If he is hiding it, then you need to approach your husband calmly and not by attacking him. Why? Because it's only going to raise his defenses. A true conversation about what's going on is not going to happen if it turns into a huge fight. Here's what you might say. Hey, honey, I've noticed that there's been some websites that you've been going on to or that have been on our computer, and I just want to talk about what might be going on. Are you watching porn? If so, what's the reason behind it? Is it because you feel like you need it in order to get turned on with us? Is it because you feel like there's something lacking? Where is it coming from? And do your best to let this be a conversation. Your husband may not think that there's anything wrong with what he's doing. And if that's the case, then it will be more difficult to move forward. But you will want to focus on letting your husband know how it makes you feel. It makes me feel like you don't love me, like you don't desire me. It makes me feel like I'm not good enough. It makes me not want to be as intimate with you because I'm constantly comparing myself in my mind to what you might be seeing. Just be honest with your spouse and focus on letting him know how it makes you feel, not attacking him for what he's doing, not saying, I can't believe you would do this. You're a terrible person. Why in the world? It's only going to raise his defenses. Instead saying, I would really appreciate it if instead of watching porn, instead you would come to me and we could figure out how to move forward, how to get you what you need. There's tons of research on the damage that porn causes in marriage and in sex lives. We have an article about it on our website that will be posted in the show notes below. If your husband does believe that what he is doing is harmful to him and to your marriage, and he doesn't want to be watching porn, but he's stuck in the cycle, then it's very important to be understanding and to be empathetic. Has your husband hurt you? Yes. Is what he is doing wrong? I believe so, yes. And if you are watching this video, then you probably feel that way as well. So why should you be empathetic and soft and understanding? Here's why. Because if you scream, yell, and attack your husband for what he's doing, then he's just going to put walls up around himself and he's not going to talk to you about it. And probably he'll be less likely to come to you or talk about it or to make any change over time because he feels attacked. Instead, by trying to understand what is causing him to want to do this and understanding the why behind it, you are aligning yourself as his ally, not his enemy. And the two of you can better move forward with this and overcome it in your marriage. If you want him to open up to you, if you can handle it, and talk to you about it, then you cannot attack him for what he shares with you. If you can't handle talking to him about it, then encourage him to find a mentor or a friend who has values that are going to support him in wanting to stop watching porn, or maybe go to a pastor or a support group. There's quite a few support groups that would be a great recommendation for him. Celebrate Recovery, Sexaholics Anonymous, or a group like that could be of great benefit of your husband. That way he can talk about the nitty-gritty details of what he's struggling with, how he wants to overcome it with someone of the same sex who's going to support him in it. And then you can be the encouragement and support to your husband without having to know all the details, but still be that person who's encouraging him towards finding recovery. That allows you to step back and to be a support to your husband without having to hear about the burdens of what your husband is dealing with, allowing someone else to carry those burdens with your husband. Another great resource that we have found in our own marriage is Covenant Eyes. It's a great resource. It's a software that you can put on phones, that you can put on computers in your house. It's a great way to prevent porn from even starting to become a problem, especially if you have young children or teenagers in your house. But it's also an amazing software that once you install, they have this new screen monitoring that it's impossible to bypass. And it helps place accountability in your marriage, in your home. And I honestly believe it's a great protector to just stop the problem before it even starts. I would definitely look into that. And lastly, understand this. You're not alone. Millions of marriages go through this and no one talks about it. When you hear people talk about porn, it's typically about how to use it to make your marriage better. No one talks about how much it hurts. No one talks about the problems that it causes. No one talks about that, but you're not alone in this. It can seem like you need to just turn a blind eye and let it happen, but the best thing for you in your marriage is to go to your spouse, to work through this, and to have a better marriage than before. It's not going to change overnight, or even over a couple of months, or maybe even over a few years. This is something that might be a constant struggle in your marriage. But as long as you align yourself with your husband, support him, encourage him, and believe that he can overcome this, and you don't make him feel even more shame than he may already feel about it, then your marriage will become stronger and reach a deeper level of intimacy than ever before. If you want more help about how to move forward in your marriage, if pornography is maybe just a symptom of something much larger that's going on, or maybe this is something you feel you can't move past, we are here for you. We have coaching, we have courses, we have an amazing workshop that can absolutely help you achieve that deeper level of intimacy and move forward in your marriage by being able to talk about things. If you're listening to this and saying, I don't even know how I could talk to my spouse about this because we don't have that kind of communication. We can't be that open with each other. We can help you get there because that's absolutely what you need in order to overcome this in your marriage. You can find out more on our website, marriagehelper.com. You can call us anytime, 866-903-0990 to see how we can help you. And also be sure to subscribe to this channel, comment on the video below. We would love to hear your thoughts. We'd love to help you through this because we believe you can overcome it and have an amazing marriage.